Welcome to another edition of Voice of the Diaspora. Transparency, accountability, and the governance of oil in Guyana. In studio with me today is perhaps the lone sojourner in the struggle in Guyana that is exposing the shenanigans in the area of oil in Guyana, where the government, ExxonMobil, and other stakeholders are being called out. Glen Lalls, the owner of Kaieteur News, is here to talk about Judge Sandils Kissoon's ruling. He's here to talk about the government's handling of the oil wealth and more. Glen Lalls, welcome to Voice of the Diaspora.
Thank you, Norman. Thank you.
You are no stranger to the Guyanese society, at home and in the diaspora. In fact, your name seemed to be on the lips of Guyanese at home and abroad, and in a positive way, because many are talking about your courage. They are talking about that fearlessness in exposing the single most aspect of our wealth that can transform Guyana forever and can empower every Guyanese overnight in that country with less than 1 million people. And therefore, we know that your work is known. We know that you have your own programs and that you are consistent and relentless in exposing what is happening. History will remember you. History will remember you in this context. Glen Lalls, I want to start by asking you to tell us why you took this mandate to hold our government accountable in the area of the oil wealth in Guyana.
Thank you, Norman. And good afternoon or good evening to all your listeners from wherever they're watching and listening to this program. Norman, you said that I'm the lone fighter. I just want to add a little piece and correct you on that one. I have some fighters in the Kaieteur News, some young reporters who
Yes.
have been who have been in the forefront of fighting this fight along with me. And what we have been doing here today and of lately has always been on the agenda of the Kaieteur News 29 years now. I have always put our resources and the handling of it on the forefront because when you look at the deals these leaders have been approving for our gold, our diamond, our bauxite, our manganese, our timber,
Mhm.
and when you look back at what has been happening and what continuing to happen on the resources that belongs to the people of this country, when we look back at the livelihoods of the Guyanese people from 30 years ago to today where we are, how lives have not a single Guyanese life has been uplifted in 30 years with all these resources we have. Now we have discovered oil in 2015. The oil we have discovered to date is unmatched in the world today per capita, per citizens. We are now we are now ranked the number one oil produce oil find in the world per capita. So when you hear this type of wealth we have in a country, we discovered, and look at what we were given, look at the advantage that is being taken on all of us, in which the government of the day and the opposition is aiding and abetting this lawlessness with our resources. It leaves me many days and nights to wonder. My heart, I say many times on my radio program, that my heart cries out every single day as to what's taking place in this land with our resources. And it's really sickening. It is really sickening if you, Norman, would understand just a little bit of what myself and some of the other citizens across this country, including my reporters, would have learned over these few years in the oil industry alone. You know, Norman, they have been signing contracts and deals with our gold, our diamond, and our bauxite, and
Mm-hmm.
all has been hidden from the people of this country. We have been constantly banging on both the coalition and Barajagdeo to release these contracts. They have just released them 2 weeks ago, and just a few were released for us to peruse and see. I told the nation I was on a 2 day walk with this 65-year-old gentleman from Berbice to Essequibo, just trying to educate the nation, bring awareness as to what's going on in their country with their oil industry. So I didn't get chance to peruse those contracts, and what has been taking place so so rapidly on a daily basis with the oil sector. I haven't been you can't just wrap your head around, Norman, to get to as fast as you think about something, something greater pops up. You know, during the walk, Justice Kisoon made a ruling,
Yes.
a very simple ruling he made. Norman, the EPA permit that was granted to ExxonMobil in Liza 1, the very first project, is pellucid in it. Clearly states that we must have a parent company guarantee
Yes.
along with insurance to take care of any destruction, any damages caused to Guyana, its people, and the region at large. That's very, very clear in the permit. Lisa 1 was approved with a promise from ExxonMobil. We're working on that. We'll hand you in your hands. Lisa 2, Vincent Adams came in and was heading the EPA at the time. He came in after Lisa 1 permit was issued
Mm-hmm.
to them. And he realized that we did not get that parent company guarantee. And again, this promise was made to Vincent that in a week's time, you will have that parent company guarantee. He approved that project, the second project, without getting that parent company guarantee that is mandated within the permit, my friend. Now, you, I don't know if the listeners really understand clearly what's an unlimited parent guarantee mean. Let me take a moment and break that down.
Mm-hmm.
Norman, it is like you come to dig in my backyard for gold, and I said to you, Norman, you have to give me insurance just in case something happens. And you went to the insurance companies and you bring me an insurance of a $600 million US. And I said, Normal, Norman, 600 million cannot, cannot. If the worst case situation occurs, cannot put back my home and fix back my yard. I said to you, Norman, you have to give me a parent company guarantee. Meaning your parents got to sign because your parent is the people who have the money.
Mm-hmm.
Norman Brown doesn't have nothing. Norman Brown doesn't have money in his pocket to buy lipstick and powder for his wife.
Mm-hmm.
So to put it.
Yes.
So all we're asking that Norman get his parent to sign a guarantee saying that your parents will pay all the excess that the insurance company you hand me.
In the event
And
of a
that's what
yes.
in the event of an oil spill. And this is what the parent company has been avoiding signing because they know the danger that faces my home and my family is could be beyond what you're stealing out of my country.
Wow, wow. Let me ask you this before you go on. All that point. Let me ask you this. You said that Vincent Alexander knew that this thing had to be signed.
Yes.
Why did he go ahead with um, the signing of the contract without that being put in place?
Between me and you, he doesn't want to come out and say clearly, but the discussions we have had. Now his name is Vincent Adams, not Alexander.
Sorry, Vincent
Vincent
Adams. Sorry, Vincent Adams.
Vincent told me and how he spoke to me. He was instructed to go ahead and sign the Lisa 2 permit and and they will get the parent company guarantee. Now, now he left there. He was fired and he did not receive that parent company guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
Barra Jagdeo and the new government knew that Guyana is left without that parent company guarantee. Went ahead and approved Lisa 3, approved Lisa 4 without that parent company guarantee. All through those years, when he's questioned by myself and the reporters about that parent company guarantee, he would say they're working on it, they're finalizing it. Um, we will get it within 10 days. We will get it. The last press conference he had, I asked him again. He was like, "Wait, we didn't get it as yet." And this is the game he has been playing with our livelihoods and our future, where that parent company guarantee is concerned. He went ahead again and approved the fifth project
Wow, wow.
2 weeks ago and tell the nation within 30 days time we will get the parent company guarantee. You see the game this man playing with his country's future. Years now since 2016. This is 2023. We have been waiting for a parent company guarantee with promise and promise and promise over and over and over. This man approved the fifth project, and this man telling us within 30 days. So you see the game, both the PPP and the PNC is playing
That
with
is
Guyana.
what that is what I am about to ask you in relation to
Hold,
our viewers.
hold
Go ahead.
on,
Sorry. Go ahead.
hold on, hold on, hold on. This Justice Kissoon's ruling didn't came out of the blue. This Justice Kissoon ruling came out
Go ahead then.
of a challenge that two ordinary citizens, Collins and White, took to the court on Lisa 1 alone. Now, I want you people to understand this thing. It's Lisa 1 alone. The first one we didn't get insurance protection from. I shouldn't say insurance protection. This full unlimited liability coverage from.
Mm-hmm.
And that matter just happened to came up in time of all this big hallaboo of asking about full protection. And Justice Kissoon, when he looked at the permit, was pellucid. The judge said, no, you have signed agreeing to give us this full unlimited parent company guarantee. How come you haven't give it to us? And his ruling was give us,
Within 30
make sure
days.
Guyana has it within 30 days, if not shut the lease
But they
once
have
again.
appealed it.
Now, no, no. This same Barajagdev and the opposition, who's supposed to be protecting Guyana, who's supposed to be looking out for the best interests
Of the
of all the
people of
Guyanese,
Guyana. Yeah.
they have been silent. They have been numb and dumb. When Justice Kissoon came out with that, the very same day, the evening of that day, Barajagdev instructed the EPA to appeal the judge's decision. Now, you tell me if Barajagdev really meant when he was telling us, when he was telling this nation at the various different press conferences that ExxonMobil is signing that document, that ExxonMobil is going to give us that guarantee. You think he really meant it?
He didn't.
Huh?
And this is what I want to ask you, Glenn. We understand that there is a reluctance to sign this thing because the shareholders would be losing money. They would be losing a lot of money. But my question to you is this. My question to you is this. That's not our concern who will be losing money. It has to be signed in the interest of protecting the people of our country in the event of an oil spill. A lot of things can happen. A lot of things. But look, I want to ask you this question. You said the opposition has been silent. Many are saying that the opposition is in the same bed with the PPP government on this thing.
They are
Do
in the
you
same bed.
believe, do you believe, Glen Lal, that there's some politics involved there where the opposition is hoping that if it doesn't ruffle the feathers on behalf of the people of Guyana, the opposition under Aubrey Norton's leadership, that if they don't ruffle Exxon's feather, that maybe they wouldn't get any difficulty at the next elections.
I want to tell you something, and I want to tell your listeners something.
Mm.
The very first thing oil company does when they go into countries and discover oil, they line the pockets of the politicians, they create chaos and confusion.
Fusion.
And while we fight among ourselves, they are happy fetching out by the boatload every day. So when you talk about Aubrey Norton, the PNC, the AFC, and the government, I think that answer I give you there covered it all. Every jackman is silent so that ExxonMobil can do Guyana whatever, however, and whenever they feel like
But
to do
certainly
to it.
you're not saying that Norton and Ramjatan and Jagdio's pocket has been lined in the case of Guyana and this situation. Are you saying that they may have been paid to be
You,
silent?
you're not listening to me,
Go
Norman.
ahead. Go ahead.
Norman, I'm saying clearly the first thing oil companies does when they enter a country is line the pockets of
But
politicians.
did that
How
happen
much
in the Guyana case?
how much more clear can I make it?
Mm.
Don't do that.
All right. I got it.
Don't
I'm asking the questions. So you are
ask me what
alluding that
you want. You want them to sue me. That's what you're looking for? No, sir.
I know you are
I have made it,
fearless.
I have made it clear what I've just said, dear Norman.
Okay. That's
How much
fair.
more clear? How much more clear can I make that? So don't expect to hear the AFC, the PNC or the PPP do or say anything in defense of the people of this country against ExxonMobil and our oil out there. When you look at the daily newspapers, it is quite clear every day. Look at the Kaieteur news. Every single day, it is clear. One of the headlines we have here is Guyana's political opposition showcases gross ineptitude on oil and gas matters. How much more clear can that be? And let me tell you,
Mm,
Aubrey North read that story maybe 4 o'clock this morning
mm,
and pen me a letter
mm.
and pen me a letter talking about the Kaieteur news, not talking about the election lists, not talking about people's livelihood, cost of living. And he's not addressing the issue on oil. He completely missed the boat and addressed Kaieteur news rather than address the issue at hand, the
You think
oil
he
sector.
deliberately missed the boat? You think he
Well,
deliberately missed the boat?
if he deliberately, he wants to miss the boat because he and his party has not been saying a single thing about what's going on. He and his party, full of lawyers, did not see it fit to take ExxonMobil to court for this insurance, for this full liability protection. But guess what? When these two ordinary citizens moved to the court and got a one from Justice Kissoon's ruling,
Collins and White.
Collins and White, they jumped. It took them days. It took them days when the people started shouting in this country to jump out and say, oh, we are in support of Justice Kissoon's ruling. Now, that tells a story. Which table, which table the PNC and the AFC is sitting on. When it suits them, they jump out and say, oh, we are on board. Now, my question to you, why didn't they use their lawyers, seeing that they're the opposition, to fight for the same vote, their same constituents? Huh? Could your listeners answer that question?
Maybe they can. But the question I want to ask you, you have one of the most prominent newspapers in Guyana, and it is a newspaper that fights for the ordinary. It exposes the power base in Guyana and what they are doing. Kaieteur News is known for that. That's your newspapers. I really want to understand, Glen Lalls. I really want to understand if your investigative journalism can extend to conclusively determining whether politicians across the board in Guyana were actually paid by by ExxonMobil. And I say that because I know about libel, I know that they can sue you, I know what, but if there is investigative journalism that can point that there has been on the hand business with our politicians, nobody can sue anybody. Nobody can sue anybody. I'm absolutely sure about that.
You don't want to help me find the money that was paid?
I would do it first word.
Okay, well, work on it for me. I could only tell you and your
You're saying
listeners.
that money was paid.
I can only tell you and your listeners, if gangsters can come in my country, pick up my stuff so blatantly and walk away with it, and the leaders of the country, the politicians of the country turning a blind eye to it, then, then I don't have to answer whether they're being paid or not. No one should answer that question, Mr. Norman. Just help me find, just do some investigative work because we don't have the resources in this country. We don't have the capacity, the human capacity to go after that. If you can help me and get your listeners to go ahead, go about and help me, then it will be very helpful to all of us. Not
All of
only
us. You know what is the sad thing, Glenn? And you give a historical perspective when you started by saying that even in the gold industry before, 30 years before, we didn't really have internet that time. But you said that deals and deals were made that did not benefit the people of Guyana. People remain poor, they remain living in squalor. The percentage of people in poverty rose instead of decreasing. You made that very
no,
clear. Here now, we are in a more modern world and a modern society, and blatantly it appears that our politicians do not care that we have the means to reach the people and to convince the people and to educate and inform the people that this is what is happening. And it seems as though they still don't care. Would you agree with that analogy?
Norman, Norman, it's not that people don't care. When people, this oil sector now, this oil sector is not huge. The information in this oil sector is not huge. It's gigantic.
Gigantic, yes.
Oil companies have destroyed the entire Asia and Africa. Okay? Back in those days, there weren't technology as we have today. So the leaders of those countries did exactly what Guyana leaders are doing today. Just that back in those days, technology wasn't there, so the people didn't get to see, they didn't get to know, they didn't learn. And
Exactly.
when they
Exactly.
learn, when they see what their leaders did to them today, some of them is going to prison. But it's too late for the country. I just came back for a few months ago from Zimbabwe, South Africa, Kenya, Ghana, Mozambique. And when you go there and you see how the Africans living with barely $1 a day and $2 a day, it is not heart rendering. It's not even heartbroken to see how they live. Clean drinking water is not there. The very night I land in South Africa, the very night, sitting in a bar on top of a mountain with a few South Africans, at 8 o'clock, blackout, overlooking Johannesburg, the city, beautiful city, blackout. What happened? The guy said, Glenn, take it easy, take it easy. Lights will be on in a moment. A generator kick in, and then I am told every single day in South Africa at 8 p.m., the whole country goes into blackout. This is what this is what Africa, many African countries has become. Electricity, water, school, medical facilities, roads, houses. Man, when you look at some of these places
The
where
conditions people
our
live in on the.
yes, it's not horrible. Horrible is not a word to describe it. So what I am seeing happening here with this oil contract and this deal that our leaders are signing with these foreign bauxite, timber, and gold companies, Guyana will be a trillion times worse when everything disappears. Driving to work just now, I'm I live in Nandi Park. It takes me 5 minutes to get to my office. The roads that are damaging Norman, the road, that little piece of road that has been fixed, refixed, patched, and repatched so many times from 2015 to now. When I look at the money Guyana receiving from ExxonMobil at present in 3 months, 219 million US. 219 million US Guyana received from January to March. The money it will cost to fix the piece of road from the harbor bridge to my office, that 200 million can never patch that road alone. So then what are we doing in this country now?
Wow, wow,
Tell me,
wow, wow.
out of that 219 million Guyana get, you know how much oil was pumped? 2,880 million US dollars. So, so 2,661 million left Guyana, and we get 290. Now, you tell me what kind of business are we really running in this land? Tell
Wow.
me.
But you know what is the
Just,
troubling thing?
just,
Go ahead.
just, just let your people think about what I just said there. 219 million US dollars every 3 months. We are getting pumping 400,000 barrels a day.
Wow.
400,000 barrels a day at $80 barrels, 2,880 million US. Out of that, Guyana gets 219. We can't even fix a piece of road. What kind of business are we really driving with in this oil industry?
Wow.
And when you talk about Norton is silent, when you talk about the opposition running and ducking, they are ready to respond with 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 a letter saying that the Kaieteur News not looking
And
at
other
to the
issues, electoral issues, and so on.
cost of living. You see how clownish these people can be? They are just avoiding
They're offended. They're offended by it. That's why
the
there's.
real issues. They are not saying a word. They're just throwing that in a corner and then accusing the newspaper of not talking the the election list that is padded, cost of living here, crime there. You see what they're focusing on? I asked him to come on my program. He said tomorrow he's gonna get back to me. Let's see if he will come. But this is what is happening in this country. Now Justice Kissoon rules that we should have what the permit requires me to have, and they're going to appeal that. Now, if you notice, Exxon did not appeal the matter.
The
Government of Guyana
EPA.
appealed the matter.
Yeah.
Then, then 1 week later, Exxon jump in the fray, saying they will appeal the matter. Beyond and above that, Jagdeo jump in the fray saying today, or saying now, I should say,
Mm.
that if Exxon walk away, we gonna lose. We're gonna lose investors in this country. Can you believe this crap is coming out these people mouth? You're getting nothing, absolutely nothing
And you're still concerned
from
about
your.
what the investors will, that we will lose the investors. And that is what is an insult to the ordinary people of Guyana. You said something. You said you went to South Africa, Glen Lalls, for the sake of my viewers, and you saw all the people were living there. You said that you every night at 8 o'clock the person told you that the lights are shut out. I think that's
No,
what
no,
you.
no, 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 no. Not the people told me. That is what is going on
That's
in
what's
South
going on. But
Africa.
the point I'm making is this. The point I'm making is this. In Guyana, it seems to be worse off with blackouts.
It has been worse off since 30 years ago, and it will continue to be worse with this gas to shore project Exxon pushing down the throat. It will never fix. It will be worse than South Africa and worse than what we are witnessing today.
So are
So
you
God have to.
so are you saying
So
that the
God have to come us.
Glenn, I want to ask you this because the ordinary man and woman will be listening to this. People, when we share the clips of this tomorrow, which we call brief clips, it's thousands and
Yeah.
thousands of people will watch it. But I want to ask you this question. What would I want to hear from you, your thoughts on what you think that the ordinary man and woman in the streets in Guyana that are suffering tremendously, when they hear what you are saying on this program today, what do you think they will do politically when they're asked to support the government and to support Aubrey Norton's opposition?
My friend, my friend, support from or for the PPP and the PNC is long gone. The PPP and the PNC will change nothing and they will do nothing. Not what you're witnessing from 2015 to 2023. Not with every day these people, if they are not silent on the many issues, they are dumb on everything. So this country, Guyanese cannot depend on the PNC or the PPP to lift this country out of where we are with ExxonMobil.
So, what is the
You
solution?
you have to, we have to, someone has to rise up, and someone honest and decent has to rise up and take this country away from these people. I can't see it no other way. These PPP and PNC will not change. Like I told you earlier, and let me repeat it. Their pockets have been lined. So what they're doing, they they are being they are being paid while we, the citizens, are being played. This is what is going on in this land.
You
And
said,
unless
mm, oh, go ahead.
unless unless we look, unless, or if you can't find another party that can lift this country with a good leader, only our feet and and our mouth in the streets, only demonstration can bring about a change.
Do you have
Only
political
that.
ambitions?
No, no,
So you
no,
don't intend to form a political party or to join?
no, sir. I am
You
doing
don't.
quite, I think I'm doing the best job one can ever do. Trying to educate, highlight, entertain the nation as to what is happening in the country. I think this is greater than getting involved with politics. If I get involved with politics, then who's going to hold this country accountable? Who's going to hold the leaders' feet to the fire? So politics is not there for me.
I glad you cleared
I
that up. I glad you cleared that up because one of the rumors that the PVP is peddling is that the reason why you are agitating so strongly is because you have political ambitions and you
yes,
want to. So the viewers must understand what you are saying here now. It is a patriotic move on behalf of your country and your people. Glen Lalls, I know that we are running out of time, and I want to play this clip, and I want you to highlight and let our viewers know what is happening at the government level in terms of legislation. Let us go to this brief clip. You can take time out to have a drink or something, and it will take a few minutes, and then we can.
Gangster Barajagdeo.
2.5 short years, we have put in place one and are putting in place one of the most modern frameworks to manage the industry anywhere in the world. They talk about corruption in oil and gas. In opposition, we said we wanted every Guyanese to know how much money we collect from the oil and gas companies every year. And the reason we did this is because you remember Winston Jordan and the cabinet in the past hid 18 million US dollars signing bonus. They didn't tell this country a year and a half after receiving the money, they didn't say a word. They didn't place it into the consolidated fund, nor did they put it in the central bank balance sheet. So for all purposes, it was outside of the audit purview of the Auditor General. We criticized it, we exposed it. When we pressured Jordan, he said, oh, he thought it was a gift. You remember that? He said that he thought it was a gift. The 18 million signing bonus was a gift to the PNC. It was supposed to be paid into the consolidated fund. And we made it clear that no Minister of Finance will have those powers under the PPP. The first thing we did is that we amended the law to ensure that every receipt, big or small, from the oil and gas sector will be published in the official gazette, and Parliament will be notified within 3 months. And if the Minister of Finance fails to do that, there is a 10 years jail penalty attached to it. Not that Ashney will have that, because I know Ashney is publishing as soon as they get a receipt, he publishes it. So that every citizen of this country will now know how much money we've collected. All they have to do, they have to buy the official gazette and add down every year, and they will see that. No country in the world has that law, a law as strong as that, to ensure transparency.
He said the 18 million signing bonus was not a gift to the PNC. It's supposed to be in the treasury. He's right on that one. Then he went on to say he changed the law to have Ashney Singh report every cent of the oil money, big or small, to the public via the official gazette. You just have to buy a copy and add up the figures. You will know how much we collect. You heard him there. And if Ashney Singh failed to do so, he has to face 10 years jail. Jagdeo said, no country in the world got a law as strong as ours to ensure transparency. Guys, the law the PNC had in place was far better than this one the PPP rushed through Parliament in the wee hours of the morning, right in the middle of the Christmas holidays, when all of we was drunk. Every country's oil law have a specific clause to jail the minister if them thief, misuse, or misspent the people's oil money. But the PPP one doesn't have that special clause in what Jagdeo said is the strongest oil law on earth. We law only jail the minister for not telling us how much he collect, but not how it is spent and what it is spending on. No. Them can buy mansions in the US or England for their family and no jail for that. I remember when my reporter pointing out every country's oil law has a specific clause for thieving the people's oil money. Ashney Singh said, we already got law on the books to deal with thieving. Join me every Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Glen Lalls, owner of Kaieteur News here on Voice of the Diaspora. Of course, he's been working really hard. He's a very busy man, so we won't keep him much longer. But Glen Lalls, our viewers would have looked at that clip. So here's a situation. I can show you the money I collect, but I don't have to tell you how I spend it. So I can bring 50 million. It's a serious matter. But I want, and I love the way you put it in simple language for the ordinary man to understand. Because sometimes I read the newspapers and the writers, the writing is so complex that the ordinary man would just put it to one side. They wouldn't have a clue to what is being said. Look, Glenn, I can show you this money. I could bring the bag tonight, but I'm going to buy a boat 2 hours after for my friend. But once I show you this money, I can just go and that's over. Is that what it is?
Hold, hold, hold. Let me touch a little on 18 million US. 18 million US signed since 2016. This man is talking in 2022 what PNC did or tried to hide or tried to huff 18 million US when Guyana is losing 18 million US dollar a day.
Wow.
A day. That is what is important in you guys' mind, Norman. We are losing more than 18 million US a day.
There.
And Jagdeo, you see how conveniently he wants to talk about the PNC tried to thief 18 million signing bonus. Brother, sisters, we are losing more than 18 million US dollars a day in this country. And you're not hearing about that. This is what I want you people to focus on, my friend. To this date, as we are talking, my friend, we do not have an oil law in place to this day, today. That should have been the first thing on the agenda from the time they step into office. And he is talking about the framework, the oil and gas framework. We are setting up one that no country can beat in the world. We don't have an oil law on to this day. Every time they put a bill in parliament to pass a law, is a ganja law, some underwear law, or some frivolous law. The law of oil and gas in this country, 8 years now, a new country doesn't have one. What are we doing in this land, man? Are we selling potato ball or are we selling bangamiri? Huh?
Glenn, you know why I'm laughing? I'm laughing because I'm enraged and I'm angry. And I'm glad you
Listen
came
to
on
my
this program.
program.
Let me tell you this. Let me say this to you. What you are doing is great. You are liberating the minds. And I tell you something, the people will rise up against the opposition and the government. The Guyanese people can be very patient. But here is a situation, Glenn, and I will allow you to make your points and I allow you to make your closing remarks after. But let me say this to you. Let me say this to you. It is very clear what this ripoff is. On one hand, Exxon can come and not pay any money to ensure to have this parent company deal. So if anything can happen and they don't have to withstand the cost. Your country can be destroyed. Your people could have diseases that will transfer to their children and their children's children. They're not responsible. That's one hand. Are you going to tell me now that on the other hand, the government receiving money from Exxon, and the government will tell you they received $200 million, and that's the end of the story. They don't have to tell you how they spend it. They don't have to tell you what they do with it or anything. This is I
Exactly.
pass to the Guyanese people, and one of the ironic things, right, is that Guyanese are very educated. We place emphasis on academic pursuits. But I think, Glenn, that a lot of people are not getting the full gist in the
You
ordinary language of that ripoff. And I'm happy that you are doing this today.
slowly, hold a
Go ahead.
moment, hold a moment, hold a moment. The little crumbs that you're getting, you don't know how it's being spent. The little crumbs, the little crumbs. Norman, Do you know that we are borrowing money every single month? For the last couple months, we borrowed $200 million to fix, to correct roads in this country that the oil company broken up. We borrowed 100 million just 4 days ago from the Islamic Bank to fix the East Bank public road.
Wow.
What surfacing the oil industry. So we are borrowing money, paying interest to fix the damages that the oil company is doing in this country. Man, how much more stupid, how much more clumsy can we get in this land? Huh?
Wow.
You know, today, just today, I could send you that Nigeria is suing Shell for the destruction they caused with an oil spill there. Are they going to get anywhere?
No.
Nowhere. They're not going to get anywhere with that. I had a beautiful program Friday in which I played, and I have it here. You should have played.
You should have sent it to me. I would have played it here.
You can hear one right now. I could play it.
Yeah,
Keith
play.
Rowley from Trinidad and Tobago. Hear what this man had to say. Listen carefully.
But there's a willingness not to treat contracts as cast in stone. And while contracts bind us to terms and conditions, if the conditions have changed so dramatically and so detrimentally, then the reopening and renegotiation of contracts is a reasonable demand of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And we anticipate.
You hear that? The man said no contract is cast in stone.
Stone.
When things have changed so drastically, so dramatically, it means when people can't eat, contract must be changed.
Change. Must
And
be
it is a
renegotiated.
reasonable, and it is a reasonable demand,
Demand.
for the
Yes.
people of Trinidad and Tobago. Hear him.
And our partners in this business will see our claim as a fair and just one. And we anticipate that there will be some reopening of contracts so that at the end of the day, we can all sustainably benefit from the God-given riches of Trinidad and Tobago.
You hear that?
Wow.
You hear how leaders speak? He said he will reopen some contracts. Yes. So that the people of Trinidad and Tobago
Can benefit.
can benefit from their God-given riches. Do you know that 3 weeks later, that man reopened some contracts and Trinidadians walking the streets smiling? Smiling? Yes, he did that. That's a leader. You want to hear more? You can hear more.
In recent years, as leader of the opposition and more so as Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, I have had the opportunity to interact very directly with the people.
Glenn, you there? I just want to report to my viewers that first time ever my computer system shut down in the middle of an interview. I swear I'm not making it up. It is the first time in the middle of an interview the computer system literally shut down and reopened back saying that there has been a problem. Didn't explain the problem. But we're back up again. Glen Lalls here on Voice of the Diaspora. We do apologize to our viewers for that short break there. Glen Lalls, owner of Kaieteur News, speaking about the oil course in Guyana, the mismanagement and corruption, and the insensitive and disrespectful attitude of our leaders towards the people of Guyana. Glen Lalls, you may continue.
I was playing the tape just now for your listeners to hear Keith Rowley, the Prime Minister of Trinidad, what he had to say about renegotiating contracts. And I would have liked you. I sent it to your phone there. I should have liked. I would appreciate very much if you can play those tapes and let your listeners
I will.
hear what this hear the courage. Hear how Keith Rowley tell the oil people them. He said if an oil contract benefits one side and one side only, it's not a contract. He said when a contract only gives one side a plate of food and the other side is left empty, it's not a contract and it must be changed. That those are leaders. I had a beautiful program Friday night. I think you should play that.
Yeah,
Where I play all these in between so that the listeners can understand. I break it down for them to understand, Norman. Norman, when the leaders of a country is going to sit back and allow foreign gangsters to empty your country, leaving crumbs for your people, and can't even give protection to the citizens, then we are not in danger, my brothers and sisters. We are in extreme danger that face that. I just told you that Nigeria today, I'm carrying that story tomorrow, an oil spill that has caused tremendous destruction to their people 2 decades ago. That's how devastated an oil spill can be. BP spent 74 billion already in the Gulf of Mexico on that spill. And this is the reason why ExxonMobil doesn't want to sign on giving us that guarantee. Their shareholders are kicking in now. Since we have been pumping oil 2019 to now, you didn't hear a word from the shareholders. As soon as that Justice Kissoon made that ruling that Guyana must be protected, all of them get jittery and running helter skelter because they know in their mind, Norman, they know that if an oil come there, every single shareholder pockets will go broke. You understand? So all the while, Guyanese, and the region are not people. Look today, 2 billion guarantee only to cover oil spill damage to Guyana. The Exxon
yeah,
boss saying this. Look, this is the lead story. And the 12 other Caribbean countries that will be affected. You hear what I'm saying here clearly, people? The 12 other oil countries in the Caribbean that will be affected from an oil spill. Not a single one of them has one single dollar to receive from ExxonMobil. And this is not what Glen Lalls is saying, Mr. Norman. The EIA document that ExxonMobil give Guyana has spelled it out very clearly what are the dangers Guyana and the region could face with an oil spill. So now, here you have it. They are putting a figure of $2 billion. Here the most sickening part of it. They are putting a figure on an unlimited figure. The permit asks for unlimited. You mustn't bring no fee, no 2 million and hand me. Or say you're gonna protect me with 2 million for fix back my house. I want to sign guarantee that you will fix back my house to how it was and take care of all the damages caused and pay compensation if there is any deaths or broken ribs or broken hands or broken neck. You must cover all the costs. That is what an unlimited guarantee means. Don't bring 2 billion guarantee. Hear what they're telling Guyana now, that they bring in an independent consultant to evaluate an oil spill, and they pay the independent consultant, and the independent consultant tell us that only 2 billion Guyana will need in the event of an oil spill. And that is what they're going to give us. Well, guys, that is not what is written in the paper, and that is not what Justice Kissoon is asking for. We are asking for full protection. Full protection. Jagdev knows this, Norton knows this, Ramjatan knows this, and the world knows this. The shareholders now knows this, that we want full protection. Come on, man. ExxonMobil, 3 days after Justice Kissoon ruling, Norman, is on record. We carry their statement. Hear what they said to the judge, to the world. The judge didn't take into consideration their financial capabilities of an oil spill. You see how disrespectful these people can get? The judge didn't take into consideration how rich they are. Well, guys, we don't want to know how rich you are, Norman. We want
Precisely.
to sign the document and hand me.
Precisely.
And hand me.
Precisely. And I
But, but
and
this
I
is the kind of rhetoric, this is the kind of scheme they're coming up with and want to fool the Guyanese people with. Oh, we are very rich. Don't worry, man. We'll take care of it. No, 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 Guyana. No, guys. We want a signed document just as the judge ordered them to give us. That's within the EPA permit. That's all we want. Yes.
Glen Lalls, let me say this. This is enough. These revelations are enough for the Guyanese people, regardless of race or ethnicity, to
Exactly.
unite. Listen,
Yeah.
Indians, Africans, Amerindians, everybody must unite and hold the government and the opposition accountable, because this is their livelihood. This is their children's future. Guyana belongs to all Guyanese. And I would
Norman,
rather suspect that the politicians will continue to
Norman,
enjoy the differences going at each other's throat. And the international community may even fan that flame so that it can expand, and that we are at each other's throats, and our country is being destroyed. Glenn Jagdeo seems to be a mastermind in all of this. You called him an international gangster. He says you are a madman. He told Indians in Guyana that you are a madman and that they should not support or listen to you. How do you respond?
Norman, I would not respond to them type of gap. Norman, I want you to understand. I want the Guyanese people to understand. Patrice Lumumba from Kenya. I went there to meet him. He wasn't there. I called him 2, 3 times. I want to get him on the radio. I want to get him to Guyana. He said recently to Africa. I think he was speaking to Guyanese. The man said, he said, when a school doesn't have a good laboratory, good teachers, it doesn't have tribe or race, it affects every one of the children.
Yes,
He
yes.
said, when the roads are bad, it affects the Indians, the Africans, the Amerindians, and all the races. It doesn't have tribes. The man said, when you don't have bridges, when you don't have food, he said, when food price raises, it doesn't affect one race or one tribe. It affects all.
All.
The man said, when you have blackouts, it affects all. He said, when you don't have clean drinking water, it affects every citizen. So don't tell me what Jagdale's saying and what Norton's saying. I don't even want to respond to these idiots and these clowns when they speak. So please, you as an educator on a radio program, start looking, start thinking, stop going down the road repeating what this one's saying about that one and that one saying about this one. If you look at their press conferences, every time they open their mouth,
That's
and
all they're doing.
I have been talking about it all the time. Oh, the PNC said this and the PPP said this, and this one said that, and this one. These are all distractions. These are all distractions. This is what they want the Africans and the Indians to continue. What they're doing, they're dividing the people rather than uniting the people. They are they're spoken evil with race all the time rather than educating the nation as to how they can benefit from the god-given riches of this country, my friend. So you guys have to start thinking beyond this thing about what Jack Dale said about Glen Lalls, and what this one said about Glen Lalls, what this one said about the Kaieteur news and about the Starbucks. Cut that crap up. Cut it out, brother. We are not going to move forward. We are the richest country on earth today per capita. We are the fastest growing country on earth. 400,000 barrels of oil pumping per day. 400,000 per day. You know how much Guyana getting? Guyana getting 8,000 out of that 400. So 392,000 barrel leaving this country. And Guyana getting 8,000 barrel out of that in royalty. 8,000 or 400,000 barrel is 8,000 barrel you get in. Oh man, these are the things we gotta focus on. These are the things we gotta let people understand where to look, what to listen to, what to occupy their mind and their brain with, my brother.
Well, I can assure you,
All
we
right?
being, I can assure you,
Jack Day is a complete. No, Aubrey Norton is also a gangster. They have all been gangstering this country. The PPP and the PNC have been gangstering this country 30 years now.
Wow.
Name me something. You name me something. Ask your listeners to name me something. One single thing that they can be proud of that both the PPP and PNC did without a reel of corruption in it. Look, the Marriott Hotel. Look, the money making machine they're going to thief. Yes. That let me just tell you a minute on it.
Go
That
ahead.
Marriott Hotel. That Marriott Hotel. Jack Day will sell out the 20% GT&T shares we had in this country in that business. It used to give Guyana 2.5 million US a year. Imagine we never have to do nothing. A week stretching we hand every year and get 2.5 million. By now, with how business pick up with the internet and the phone services, we might have been getting 3 or 5 million US a year from that business. Guess what Jack did do? Sell it out. He say he sell them out. Glen Lalls does not believe he sell it out. Glen Lalls believe they huff it. Hold on.
Yeah.
Now we take that 25 million US and say he invested in building the Marriott Hotel. That Marriott Hotel was built. Man, he took a money-making machine, put them into a non-money-making machine. That hotel was losing money back in 2015 when it was built, my brother. The hotel could not pay. The hotel could not pay the light bill when they built it. But they built it with one thing in mind, to huff it. Now,
Wow.
Guyana smile. God Almighty smile with Guyana. Fine oil. Now the Marriott making money, big money. Now they want to huff it away from we hand. Why you don't sell the things that not making money? No, that hotel making money. $400 room per day.
But why don't they
200
give
room.
shares to the ordinary people? Why don't they?
Exactly, but no, they want to huff it out. Jagdeo first put out a statement and said he testing the water to see the value. He not test the water to see the value of the gold, with diamond and all these contract deals. He test water on Marriott Hotel. 2 weeks after, then when he get the thing, he said, "Man, I'm not sell them no more." 2 weeks after, he tell the same people, let me say, you must bid back. And let me see. The 2 people only bid back because the rest of them didn't throw in any bid because they don't smell the rat. They know that they're wasting the energy to put in a bid because they know Jack Dale, what he wants to do. 2 people put in back bid. And well, of course, the 2 people who you want to put in the bid. Yes, so that they can make the switch down the road with it. Their aim is just to thief every money-making machine. The Barbies Bridge. You know the Barbies Bridge story?
Yeah.
You know who owned you know who owned the largest share in the Barbies Bridge? Huh?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Who owns it?
Jagdeo
Who
best
own it?
friend Bobby Ramu. Jagdeo best friend Bobby Ramu. He's
Wow.
the single largest shareholder in the Barbies Bridge. Yes. It's designed that way.
So it's
So every time you
kickbacks,
crash,
kickbacks and cutbacks and so on. The
man,
Jag, your hand is in everything. Glen Lalls, I want to. We can talk all day. I will give you the opportunity to give your closing remarks. You said Norton is a gangster. You said Jaguar is a gangster. I want to go back to Vincent Adams, who is someone that worked with the U.S. government. He is an expert on oil and gas. He's no ordinary experienced expert. I want to know why he would have gone ahead and signed.
Vincent Adams, I told you when he signed Lisa too, he was promised and he was instructed. He doesn't want to come out and put blame on the politicians. But I gather from speaking to him, he was instructed to sign it and
Was he
he will send it
forced?
up.
Was he forced to do it?
Man, how much more do I make this thing simple? My conversation with the man, I believe that he was instructed.
Okay.
When you have a boss and they instruct you to sign something, yeah, sign it. But that's
But
not the issue.
but you can say no.
The issue
You can
is
say no.
he
But
he he informed the new government that this is the promise. He left the document with them
document there,
that
yeah.
Exxon promised to send it, and he left and gone. And I also believe that ExxonMobil instructed Barra Jagdeo to fire him.
Wow.
Look,
Wow.
look at who they're firing and look who they're hiring. I believe ExxonMobil instruct Barra Jagdeo to hire Carl Greenidge. Carl Greenidge is working with Jagdeo now.
Wow.
Carl Greenidge was part of the PNC in the hierarchy of the PNC. That was part and parcel of the signing of the contract with Trotman. Is now working with Barra Jagdeo. So you asked a question earlier that if they are sleeping in the same bed, yes.
They are sleeping
Do I
in
have
bed.
to spell that out? Do I have to spell that out? You have an opposition leader that is not saying anything about the oil, about the gold contracts and all these things, ducking and hiding. You have the president of Guyana who never held a press conference, never held a press conference to talk exclusively about this $1 trillion oil sector we have in this country. The PNC never held one to talk exclusively about this oil sector. Now Barra Jagdeo never held one. Every time you ask them questions, they are speaking in Chinese and Spanish that you have to go ask universities to explain what they're saying or what they mean when you ask them questions on oil sector. And you think we are in a good shape in this land? You really think this country is in a good
It
shape?
is terrible, and the people are
Huh?
being hoodwinked. The people are being hoodwinked. They're being bamboozled.
Hold on, hold on. The private sector of this country, the Chamber of Commerce in this country are silent. The lawyers of this country are silent to this agreement. The accountants, the professionals are in a coma. My friend, the religious leaders, the Christian, the Muslim, and the Hindus, you want to know where their voices are? In the churches, in the mandirs, and in the temple, in the masjid. So you see the kind of danger this country finds itself in? Huh? You really understand what Glen Lalls is saying here? You can call me anytime you want me on the program except Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday.
And
And I will try to accommodate you
I
to speak to
appreciate it,
your.
and I will ensure that I carry your shows. That we have to work with each other. I will keep a special program to ensure that what you are saying out there and exposing that is carried in a day on a special day of the week. Let me say this to you, Glen Lal. I will ask you the final question, and then you will answer that and give your closing remarks, and then we will call it a night. Are you afraid? Or are you worried that forces may make an attempt on your life for speaking out in this manner? And then you can give your closing remarks.
That's a beautiful question you asked me. You hear the healthy laugh?
It's a serious question.
No, for you it's serious. For me, no. For me, if you understand life the way I do, I understand life that we were placed on this earth for a specific reason, a purpose. A purpose. And no one, no one can harm, hurt, or interfere with our life. Meaning, no one can remove you or me from this earth without the man's
The
permission.
permission, without the permission of the Creator.
He is in command, he is in control, not only of our footsteps, our hand movements, but even our thoughts he's in control of. Every word that preceded our mouth, he is in command and in control of. If you understand life that way, if you understand that no man can give Glen Lal anything or can give Norman anything, neither can no man take anything from Norman or Glen Lal,
Lord, yeah.
then you will walk this earth. You will walk this earth
A
free
free
from
man, a
fear.
free, yes, yes.
Free from fear, my friend. I walk this land and I live my life free from fear. You see why I laugh healthy there? Because I know no man can trouble me. Our we don't have untimely death, my brother. When death comes is when the maker ready for you. If you understand life that way, then you can only be smiling, laughing, and be jolly when the day comes, brother.
I want to say this, Glen Lal, before you give your closing remarks. I want to say this, and I want to say it quite seriously. Like Justice Sandil Kisoon, you are a hero in this particular struggle. And you must be respected, recognized, appreciated, and lauded, and supported in what you are doing. This is, people don't feel the power of the present. It may take 15 years down the line for people to understand the sacrifice a Guyanese named Glen Lal made for the liberation of the ordinary people in Guyana to enjoy the wealth of their country nation. I want to apologize to my viewers for not getting on this oil situation earlier. I have been very focused on party politics and other issues. But I want to make the ordinary people a promise that my work outside of what Glenn is doing so perfectly is to influence our supporters and the ordinary people across ethnic lines in Guyana to understand that enough is enough and that you cannot allow a few leaders or so called
Corruptly.
leaders, corrupt leaders, to continue to make you live in squalor while you worship them, support them. My work is to remove leaders in the opposition and at national elections to remove leaders across the board. And I thank God that I have the influence and the ear of the ordinary man who makes up the majority. The ordinary man in Guyana is the majority. The impoverished man and woman in Guyana are the majority. If you take the PPP supporters, if you take the PNC supporters, the AFC supporters, this rich person, that rich person, and you put them in a block, if you take the poverty-stricken people of Guyana, they outnumber the supporters, they outnumber everyone. My work is to say to you, the ordinary people, the oppressed, and when I say ordinary, I'm not using a negative connotation. I want people to understand that. The oppressed to understand that enough is enough. We have to rise up against wrong. If not for our sake, but for our children's sake. Because it will be a course that you take a 20,000, a 100,000 there, and you feel nice, you drink rum, you sport, you buy clothes, you drive a vehicle. What happens to your daughter who goes into a minibus and the road is so broken that she loses her baby? So we have to understand these things. And I want to say to you, Glen Lalls, and I shall repeat it, I will let you give your closing remarks and we will call it an evening. I want to say this again. I want to reiterate this point. On this program, Voice of the Diaspora, today, Sunday, I want to say this. Like Justice Sandil Kisun, you are a hero in present day Guyana. A hero. And you need that support, because sometimes we fight, we struggle, and we do it without any support. We don't need any thanks, but sometimes it's good for someone to say to you, keep going. I recognize it's like fuel, it's like energy to keep us going. We are the lonesome gods, Glen Lalls. Your final comments, your closing remarks.
Norman, thank you for those kind words. I just want you to know, Norman, that I am not looking for praises. Like I've said, God Almighty puts us all here for a reason. And what I'm doing is just doing his will. He guides me every day, every moment to come to work and to do what I have to do. So what I do, I don't look at myself as any hero or any great individual. I just want to do what he guides me to do on a daily basis. You know, Norman, if you asked me 10 years ago if I would have been able to stand up in this country and fight against the government, the opposition, the civil groups, the Chamber of Commerce, and all these powerful groups in this country, to fight against ExxonMobil, oil companies who have killed presidents, who have killed government officials, who have slaughtered people left, right, and center all over the world, that this little boy called Glen Lalls would have been so bold today to speak so loud and so clear. I took on the US ambassador a few weeks ago when she came out and said that her her business interests, her companies, the American company's business interest is under threat. And my leaders, the president and the vice president, said that's a serious threat and how they're going to take it seriously. I took on the ambassador and I said, lady, your eyes past this country. You are talking about your business cooperation under threat in my country with our wealth and our people, our business is not under threat. You know how rude and disrespectful they can get. But because they're ambassador, you know, our government rushing to them, yo, rescue, yo. What threat can we threaten them? You're thieving our gold, our diamond, our bauxite, our oil, and telling us that your business interests on the threat, brother? No, not in this country, man. I leave you with what Martin Luther King Jr. said. Unless we learn, learn to hold hands like brothers and sisters, Norman, we will perish
We will perish.
together as fools. As fools. No one, no politician should continue to make us fools in this land. Let us stand up together. Let us don't look at who's Hindu, Christian, Muslim, or whatever. Let us don't look at race. Let us see what is happening in this country as Guyanese, so that we can fight this injustice as one people called Guyanese. With that, my brother, thank you so much for
Glen Lalls,
having me.
it has been a pleasure having you on this program. I think the message has been sent. As usual, nothing unusual. You have spoken out once again. You have used this platform to do your righteous work and to sensitize the Guyanese people in simple language, simple but effective language, about what is happening to the wealth of our country at the hands of a few politicians, corrupt politicians, I may say. This struggle continues. Thank you once again, Glen Lalls, for being here on Voice of the Diaspora.
In Guyana, I pray. I think the moral will keep the dollars flowing until poverty fade away. I let the moral in Guyana keep it pumping. I let the moral in Guyana, I pray. I let the moral will keep the dollars flowing until poverty fade away. The good life for you and me. The good life for everybody. The good life for all Guyanese. The good life, thank Jah Almighty.
Don't stop the progress.
No,
Don't stop the progress.
never.
Don't stop the progress.
Onward to victory.
Don't stop the progress.
No,
Don't stop the progress.
never.
Don't stop the progress.
Guyana, get ready. Let's give thanks to Jah Almighty for a bright future and strong economy, opening the way for job opportunities, staying on the path to prosperity. Yeah, yeah. A little more oil in Guyana, keep it pumping.
Keep it pumping.
A little more oil in Guyana, I pray. A little more oil will keep the dollars flowing
Dollars flowing
until poverty